Now, this quake on the Nooka Island fault is actually exactly the same magnitude as the one that happened in Christchurch, New Zealand back in February, 6.3. Now, obviously a very different story after that quake leveled much of the city. Dana Hutchings joins us now with a closer look at the difference between the two quakes and more reaction from people around the island. Dana.
Scott, February 22nd of this year, a 6.3 magnitude earthquake struck 10 kilometers from the heart of downtown Christchurch. The depth of that quake was only 5 kilometers, resulting in disastrous damage to the city. There were numerous casualties with hundreds more injured. The city of Christchurch also suffered unimaginable damage with buildings having collapsed. So why didn't the earthquake here today cause significant damage?
The Christchurch earthquake was very shallow, just a matter of a few kilometers and deep, and it was centered right underneath of a major urban area. So this was 50 kilometers out into the ocean, and so it was widely felt and strongly felt on the northern Vancouver Island, as well as into Vancouver and some of the taller buildings. People felt it there. Not many people have indicated that they felt it here in Victoria.
And so for our checkpoint question, did you feel today's earthquake? We want to hear your experiences and where you were. You can contact us on Twitter at @CHEK_news, on Facebook, facebook.com/CHEKnews, or email checkpoint@cheknews.ca. We already have some social media responses. Katie Swanson-Nielsen says, in Gold River, I felt our bi-level home swaying. I was in the basement and could feel the concrete vibrating and heard the walls creaking. Terry Balaguer says, I'm in Cassidy and felt a mild rocking for 15 to 20 seconds. The trees outside swayed slightly as well. And from Lisa Schofield in Willow Point area of Campbell River, felt a circular motion and rollers. Nothing too jarring, but I get seasick and it made me nauseous.
People are still bringing in their stories, sending us their stories of what they felt. So I know you got more on that. Plus, talking about being prepared for such a quake.
We do have lots of response, Scott. We'll get to that in just a moment. But every time there's an earthquake, it is a reminder for us to get prepared. If the big one hits being on the island, we have to be ready because we could be cut off for a number of days. So what do you need in your kit? This next interview first aired in the wake of the Chilean earthquake of 2010. It was a magnitude 8.8.
That's a very timely thing to talk about, Dana. And we want to make sure that we have anywhere from 3 to 7 days worth of supplies in our household, because following an earthquake, we're not going to be able to run out to the store and purchase something. So things like dried soup, canned fruit, canned soup. And when we have food, because there may be no power, we want to make sure we have a can opener. And we want to make sure that we have water. And again, we want to make sure that we have at least a 3-day supply, and we recommend 7 days. And we also recommend that we have 4 liters of water per person per day. And a flashlight, great idea, and we want to make sure we have batteries. Now this handy little tool, that's a 3-in-1 combination radio flashlight and strobe, and what you do is you just crank it. You know why we have this phone here?
Yes, I do, but many people don't.
That's right.
Nobody has those anymore.
That's right. This phone does not require power to operate. Right. So this one only needs to be plugged into the phone jack and it will work. So if the phone lines are up and running but the power's down, this phone will still work. And following an earthquake, it might be better to send a text just because the cell phone networks may become overloaded and a text will take up less bandwidth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Medication. So we want to make sure that if you are on prescription medications that are essential to your health and safety, that you have a supply. Pet food, we want to make sure that we have pet food too. Shutoffs. Now we have these tags that people can use, and they can put them on their shutoff, and that way they know where to find them in a pinch. There could be lots of broken glass. We want to make sure we have gloves, dust masks, because some things will get shaken up.
And other items you need for your earthquake kit: a first aid kit with bandages, shelter such as a tarp or tent or even a sleeping bag, and basic tools such as a shovel, hammer or wrench. Now back to our checkpoint question. Did you feel today's earthquake? It's some great responses from social media. Mark and Joanne at the Nootka Light Station were closest to the epicenter. They definitely felt the earthquake. We were sitting at the kitchen table watching the ocean when it hit. The house shook for approximately 10 to 15 seconds and was very scary, but no damage here on the station. David Oliver, we live in Nanaimo at a 4-story condo complex. The quake was strong enough to wake me up. Shake dishes and pictures on the wall. Nothing broken, just a little shaker. And Maureen says we live on Malcolm Island off Port McNeill and felt the quake in the house. Pictures moved and hanging items swayed. The house moved a little and the cats all disappeared outside. So Scott, a lot of stories from all over. I took calls and talked to people on Twitter and Facebook today from Chilliwack, Pemberton, Metchosin, Sydney, even had a call from Seattle, as you mentioned. Bit of a shake-up for everyone, but a good chance for us all to get prepared.